everything in your world like will unlock when you have a healthy relationship with yourself. Like, we are the key. Like, we have to unlock ourselves and figure out who we are so that we can unlock the world. Like, the pathway opens up when we open up within. Like, that's just how it works. It's just how it works. Like, I don't care what anyone says, that's just how it works. Like, it's an inside job. It literally is an inside job.
Hey guys, welcome to our SoulFam Podcast, where I interview space holders from all over the world. I'm your host, my name is Karolina, and I am the Connection Catalyst. I help spiritual entrepreneurs experience deeper connection with themselves, with others, and with the universe. Today on the show, we have Roro, a woman of the creative and healing arts. Welcome to the show, Roro. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm good. Thank you for having me here. Such a pleasure. I love your energy.
I love yours as well. And I know that we're going to have an amazing conversation because it just freaking flows. And I'm just so curious about you and about your whole journey of how you have come to be a woman of creative and healing arts and a coach and all these things. So let's start with your journey. How did you get inspired to do what you're doing right now? What has brought you to this place in your life where you're at?
Good question. Well, I suppose, yeah, well, I mean, why I'm here, I got to rock bottom, like most people. They have to get to a breaking point in their life, and then they have an awakening or some kind of, something happens usually, and it's like, oh my God, and then there's like this pivotal moment that happens, right? So I guess in a nutshell, that's what it was. But what I'm doing now and what I'm focusing on now, what I'm now building is really something that I was always meant to do, and it just took a long time, or a longer time than maybe most people, to really find out what that was, to really come home to myself. And it's been a journey of coming back to my authentic self. I had to get lost to then be able to find myself, um and as scary and as annoying and as painful as it may have been, it was all part of the process, because it deepened my character. It gave me perspective about life, about myself, about other people. And now I get to bring that into the work that I do, and I have substance. I have material to work with, especially, for example, like one of the things I do is I'm a musician, right? And that's something I'm going to be moving into more. And there's nothing more powerful than somebody being able to truly tap into who they truly are and come from the heart and their emotions and bring that through in the music. Yeah.
Mm.
And like actually speak from like a real place. So, as painful as the journey can be, the roller coaster as life can be, I think it's also really crucial because I guess it initiates us into what we do. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm a
Yeah.
musician too. I play drums and a little bit of piano and some other things as well. So I totally get the expression, authentic expression through music. Like music is like my life. I listen to music every single day. And anytime I have an opportunity, because I travel a lot, but anytime I have any instrument around me, I'm playing it. So I totally get where this comes from. So how did you kind of like discover, first of all, how did you discover that you're not authentic to yourself? Like what has caused you to be like, oh wow, actually I was not expressing who I really was, or maybe I was wearing some masks, or maybe I was just doing what society and friends and family want me to do, and I wasn't fully like true to myself. Like how did this process unfold for you?
Okay, so I guess just to give it a bit more context, like I'm going to go back into childhood, which is where most things start, right? So growing up, I didn't really have the most functionable home. Like it was quite dysfunctional in terms of the family dynamics. I had a relationship with my father, but it has been quite unstable throughout my whole life, and that really affected me. And this is one of the reasons why, I like to focus on the masculine work, the masculine feminine work, right? But the importance of having a healthy masculine energy in our lives, especially as women, it's crucial. Like, and I realize the more I develop and the more I grow, the importance of that, and how much the things that happened to me and I experienced when I was younger affected me and had a knock-on effect as I grew up. And it just like, it blows my mind. I'm like, oh my fucking God, like this is insane. Like how just little things, little changes, little experiences or things that happen along our path like change the trajectory of everything. So yeah, I guess growing up, I didn't really have like an environment. I mean, it was loving. Like I had love and I had the support. My mum was always there for me, and she still is. You know, she's my rock. Like she's always been by my side. Um, but yeah, like I went through different schools. I moved a lot. So that was quite unstable. I didn't enter the world with a lot of money. Let's put it that way. Like, and then that changed later on. So it went from one extreme of like being kind of poor to like then ended up going to private school, and was being picked up from school in like Bentley and really fancy cars. And so it was like one extreme to the other. um and my parents split up, and I think also with my dad, I didn't feel comfortable to express myself. Like I was shut down, and just in general I didn't feel like I had the environment to really be heard and be seen. And so I became very, I wouldn't say introverted, but like I just got on with things. I dealt with things. Like I had things happen. For example, I got hit by a car, I think when I was about 7 or 8, and I didn't tell anybody for about 2 years. I just dealt with it. Exactly. Like, so I was like the responsible child. Like as in like I just was independent, and I just looked after myself, sort of thing, because I didn't want to cause chaos and, between my parents, for example. So I just learned how to be quiet and to be, I guess, the people pleaser. And I guess this is where roles and personas are formed. We usually create these, and we split almost from our authentic self as a way to protect ourselves, to fit into society, or to ultimately have love and connection, right? To have our needs met. And having our needs met is a beautiful thing, but how we go about doing that can, make or break our reality and how we experience life. So I guess when I went to school, when I went to private school, like it was really lovely because I had the environment. It was boarding school, right? So I had an environment where I could really sort of be myself more so, and I had the ability to express like my creative side, like my sporty side, like all these different things. So that was a great experience for me. It was different, it was almost like like I could finally just kind of be. And then I got pulled out of that, and then I ended up having this amazing boyfriend that I loved him so much. It was my first boyfriend, and we ended up splitting up, and that broke my heart. And I think when I started to see guys, all my stuff from my dad and from my childhood started to like come up, but I didn't realize at the time. And the emotional upheaval from that, just I lost focus of myself, of my path, of following anything for myself. I tried to go to 2 colleges after that, and I just couldn't. I couldn't focus, and I was like, I'm just gonna go traveling, like, and I went traveling with my brother, and I ended up going into the festival world, and that's where I developed my skills as a decor artist, and I was building stages, and I was building canopies, like I was designing, from literally from like a page of design, like that would then be turned into like cutting fabric, spraying the fabric, like airbrushing, and then like sewing it. So I did all these different things. I drove heavy machinery, and I was like rigging everything, like massive dance floors with like incredible artwork, these amazing spaces for people to feel safe. Because I guess without consciously thinking about it, like I guess because I didn't really truly feel safe growing up, it was like I wanted to create safe spaces for people to experience things in, especially when people are taking drugs and this kind of thing. So that world is filled with that. So I wanted to create these magical spaces, and I guess I just went with the flow. And I was kind of free spirit, I guess back then, and I still am, but I'm a bit more connected now than I was before. And so I got into the drug world, I got into the party world, and I had a lot of fun, but I also became very disconnected because I wasn't really sure what was me. I was just sort of following what was happening around me, and it was great, until it wasn't great anymore, and I was wondering why I was really depressed. And I was doing things to suit other people, to fit into the crowd. I would take drugs to be a part of my friendship circle. Like I felt like that's what I needed to do to fit in, which obviously was just my own idea about what I needed to do. I felt like I needed to do things and be a certain way in order to be loved, in order to be accepted and to have fun. And I was with somebody. I ended up being with someone. I ended up living in Australia, like all of this basically led me to living in Australia, which is, I'm from England originally, and I was living in Melbourne for quite a few years, and I ended up being with somebody that was quite toxic. We were quite toxic for each other, and I loved him to a point of like, I have a lot of gratitude and respect for him, but I wouldn't say he would be my soulmate. I think, I don't know if you've heard of this concept, but it's like we have role mates and then we have soulmates. And it was like more of a role mate, I think, for me. And that was a massive catalyst, I think, in my journey. And
Can you
yeah,
define the role mate?
I got to a very
Can you define the role mate? What do you mean by that?
a role mate. Okay, so somebody that comes into our reality where they're gonna trigger everything possible, for you, like, and it's quite karmic, if you like. They're gonna come in, they're gonna show you a mirror, and maybe not in the best way. They're gonna challenge your boundaries, they're gonna challenge your self-respect. They may even be narcissists, or they may be, they may gaslight you, like they could be abusive, like it, I guess, yeah, it showed me, what I was saying yes to, what I was saying, what I wasn't saying yes to. And I guess I believed that I couldn't have a certain type of relationship or a certain type of love, and I needed to just say yes to, what I was experiencing. And I wasn't happy. I just wasn't happy. And I think it was coming from a place of need. Like my relationship came from a place of need. Like I needed him because I was very codependent back then. And I was codependent to many people. And whenever we're codependent and we attach ourselves to people, it's never going to end well, because we'll say yes to things, and we'll bend our boundaries, we'll bend what is right for us to just make sure that we get our need met of having that person there. And it's like, fine, okay, you can hit me, or like, you can throw abuse at me, it's fine, but like, it's familiar to me, so it's like I'm just gonna say yes to it. Like I'm just, I just need you there, even though you're treating me like shit. Like I need you there, and it wasn't always like that, but that was just a big turning point for me, and it took me a long time to bounce back from that. I really lost myself in a big way, and it was very scary for me to it was very scary for me to feel like I didn't know who I was. And from being a person that would go with the flow, and I was always really bubbly and really like, like I had such high spirits, I was a, massive free spirit. And just to kind of go from one extreme to the other of like literally being agoraphobic, like I couldn't leave the house for nearly a year, like I had chronic fatigue, like I burnt out completely, like I didn't know who I could trust, couldn't trust myself. I went and saw so many different practitioners. I mean, the list of practitioners, different types of practitioners I saw, it's ridiculous. I went to rehab for 5 weeks, holistic rehab over in Australia. And yeah, it was just chaos. It was just chaos for me. And I just didn't have the stability within myself. I didn't know myself enough. And I think this is the core of so many people's problems, is that they don't know themselves. They're running on a program or a persona, or like a role that they've created when they were younger, or what society has created for them, and they're making decisions based on this version of themselves that isn't true to who they are. And of course people are going to get lost. People are going to make bad decisions. It's all, I mean, it's all lessons. If it's not like feeling good, it's just going to be a lesson, right? You're just going to learn something, and hopefully you'll bounce back and you'll come onto your path. I like to call it like the shadow path. You got your authentic path, your light path, and you got your shadow path. It's not bad, it's necessary because it teaches you about yourself, but like you don't want to be living there, let's put it that way. Like you want to try and learn what you need to learn, and then come back onto your path so you can do what you need to do. So yeah, just lots of lessons, lots of struggle, lots of beautiful experiences as well though, and it really just took a lot of introspection. And I had to force myself to sit with myself and love myself. I don't think I really knew how to love myself and come home to me. And everything was very external for me, everything was really outward focused, and I didn't know how to go inward. And so in that time where I just literally cut everything off, which was very scary for me, because it was all familiar. I was following what was familiar, and I had to dive into the void. I had to go into the unknown of who I was, into my being, and be okay with what was coming up, you know, the emotions, coming back home to my body, essentially. Like, we dissociate, we disconnect, and this is the whole concept of us going into our heads. We can't ever separate from our body truly. You know, we can create the illusion that we are, because our body's always here. Like, we wouldn't be able to be in this this life if we didn't have this body. Yeah, but it's like we create this separation and this fragmentation within ourselves, within our psyche, and it's like about coming back home to us. And that's where this whole concept of becoming whole, I suppose, is. You know, it's like soul retrieval, if you like, you know, using more of a shamanic term there. But yeah, it's like I had to go through a process of soul retrieval and calling home the parts of myself that kind of escaped me, and being brave enough and courageous enough to come back to my heart and come back to my womb, to my body. And you know, when we go through traumatic experiences that we don't process, and the emotions that we don't process, we store that in the body. And I'm sure that you've heard that before. A lot of people talk about
Yes.
that. But yeah, it's like all these things, they inhabit our body, and we need to re-inhabit our body and make it our own, make it our sanctuary, make it our safe space for our soul to be, and for our soul essence, our magic to come through and to be birthed into the world. Because, you know, it's like if you've got a glass of water and it's all like, it's got gross stuff in it, it's not clear, it's not like this, you know, it's not clear. And then you get another glass of water that's clear, and you know, the more you keep pouring into it, that eventually is just going to become clear. So it was the process that I had to go through of just coming into my vessel, coming into my body, and just clearing and clearing and clearing and clearing. And then through my body, it's like the pathway becomes clear, you know. It's like when we're blocked and when we're all, you know, when we have blockages through our system, when we haven't got clear energy, and we're holding on to all this stuff, we're just never going to see the true pathway for us. We're not going to have the synchronicities and the opportunities coming. You know, we're not going to feel strong. We're not going to feel solid. We're not going to feel like we trust spirit. Like, and so it was about making space for myself, for my truth to come through. And now that's my foundation that I built everything from. And, you know, that's the solid foundation that everyone needs to be building from, because that's where true success comes from. Like, we have forgotten that we're abundant. Like, a lot of people are remembering, but you know, a lot of people on the planet, they don't realize how abundant they really are. And you know, it's who we truly are on like a soul level. Like, we're abundant, and it's just, we need to move out all this shit out of the way so that we can just realize that and have that come through.
So I have a
So yeah,
question.
like, if people want success, this is the place to get.
Because like, what was the turning point for you to stop being codependent and to actually like step more into your own sovereignty?
um I don't think there was a definitive moment of stop being codependent. It was like life sort of forced me through experiences like to make decisions that were more in service to my soul. So I was living over in Melbourne, and I kind of like, I was getting forced. It felt like I was getting forced and pushed in this direction, and I was like, oh my God, no. And it was like really when I really decided to come back to the UK and just really focus on myself and on my healing. That was really where like I could just suddenly take off this armor that I've been wearing, and this like carrying this heavy weight. I could just finally relax. And that was me allowing myself to surrender. You know, I was pushing, 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 pushing. And I guess operating from this immature masculine place, and you know, my feminine just didn't feel safe. 100% was just like, it just completely didn't feel safe. And that's probably why I didn't want to leave, because I didn't have that connection to myself to then go out into the world. Like, it's very difficult to approach the world when you don't know who you are. Like, I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but that for me that's fucking scary. Like, I just couldn't. I was like, I don't know. I just don't know. Like, I just needed time. I needed time away. And so really coming back home to myself, and putting myself in that position where I had no other option but to look at me and to be independent, and to, yeah, self-love. Like, it just took time, but it's self-love is the key. You know, we can't go anywhere without self-love. We
Absolutely,
can't.
I absolutely agree.
It just won't. won't happen.
Yeah, and I can relate to that because I also come from more like a codependent patterns, let's say, like my personality type. If you look at Enneagram typology that I talk about a lot, not everyone is familiar with that, but it's a loyalist, so it can tell you something. Like a loyalist is the one that is, loyal to people, quite submissive sometimes, and it's very, yeah, codependent. And I feel like for me, the biggest turning point was
Yeah.
probably when I just cut off from my friends and family, and I just didn't speak to almost anyone for like 2 months. And it was really such an awakening experience for me because I realized, wow, I can actually spend time with myself and be happy, and I can actually take myself out on a date, or I can actually like create some emotions that I need within myself. I don't actually need other people. And of course it's a journey, I feel, to come to full sovereignty, to have all your needs met within. Although I feel like sometimes we have traumas that are based on like relationships, so we need to heal these traumas in relationship with someone. I believe some of the healing needs to happen in relationship with someone, but I think a lot of the healing, or
Yeah.
maybe even most of it, can happen within us. And when we can love all parts of us, then we can also project this love and this harmony to all other relationships, and we don't need to need anyone specifically, because we can just trust that the universe will bring us the people, the circumstances and the conditions that will be aligned for us and will meet our needs, whether it's with this person or with the other person.
Mm.
Because if we treat the universe as a whole and we are a part of it, then we don't really get attached to, okay, this specific person needs to meet my need right now, because there are so many other people, so many other parts of the universe that can meet your need. So you can just open yourself up, and if you have a need, okay, you can meet it yourself. But if sometimes you cannot, you don't have to be attached to a specific way of how this need has to be met. You can open yourself up to all these infinite
Mhm.
possibilities that are out there, and that's what I discovered on my journey. And don't get me wrong, I still sometimes work through the stuff, right? Some codependent patterns and so on,
Of
because
course.
healing is a journey, and of course you have more and more to heal. But I feel like I'm way more so, like in the past I didn't even see the point of spending time with myself just on my own. It was just like, what for, if I can go out with my friend, or with whatever, whoever. And now I cannot even live without it. Now I'm just for a week on some random island in Greece on my own, because I'm like, yeah, I need some me time. I need to dive into myself, and I'm just enjoying it and loving it so much. Going through a lot of internal work and
Great.
whatever. But now I just see so much value in it, and before I didn't even see the value. So I feel like for people who are codependent to really take a time, as you said, to be with themselves only, without any external influence, and discover, what do I want, who am I, like what are my desires, my needs, what I want to do in life, without anyone telling me what to do and how to live. I think it's really, really crucial. And yeah, I would love to actually talk a little bit about this masculine and feminine side of these things, because you mentioned that you were more in your masculine and your feminine couldn't chill out because your masculine was like going, going, going. So how did the understanding of masculine and feminine energies has helped you to really, let's say, balance these energies within yourself, and to dance with them now more naturally?
Mm. Yeah. So I mean, look, like my feminine was, she was playing as well, like, and she was going with the flow too at certain times. But ultimately, what I realized was it was my masculine, my inner masculine, that really needed to grow up and really needed to become more integrated. Um, and this was like this was a revelation for me, honestly, when I came across this work. um and there was a particular person, a particular woman, amazing woman, like I worked with, and I learned about this through a coach that I worked with a few years ago. And she's a good friend now as well. She's amazing what she does. So she's like a relationship and intimacy coach, and I learned from her. And um and yeah, it was this concept of like inner masculine work, embodiment work for women. And I was like, oh my God, this is the key. Like all my life, I've struggled with my relationship with my father or towards men. I had poor boundaries. And so let's just have a look quickly at like, the side effects of not having a healthy integrated masculine as a woman. Like for me, how it played out was I would attract partners that weren't good for me. So that could be abusive, that could be, just anything that basically where I would feel shut down, or feel not heard or not respected, and just, yeah, poor boundaries in general. I didn't know how to say no. So I said yes to a lot of things I shouldn't probably have said yes to. um and I didn't have a lot of direction in life. I didn't have a lot of focus. I couldn't complete tasks. I couldn't follow through with things. And yeah, like that, I mean, that's huge. I got very lost. I got very lost because I just didn't have that focus. I didn't have that inner security and inner stability. And also, I've always been a very creative person. And so no one really taught me how to do business or how to sell or, how to make money. I had to figure all this out by myself, essentially just through life experience and just in general, no, my parents didn't teach me anything, if you like. And so that was a massive integration of the masculine for me, like, and a step up, because it was confronting for me. I've always been very, I guess you could say, is it right brain, like the creative side, so like right brain. And so learning how to, be more responsible, have more integrity, learn about business and really use my voice. And that's one of the reasons I went into sales, because I wasn't very confident with myself and in terms of using my voice and my self-worth. And going into sales, I guess I came from kind of a spiritual perspective, yes, for money reasons, and the freedom to work from home and for myself. I love that entrepreneurial way of doing things, but going through that process really helps strengthen my ability to communicate and to have conviction and to come from the heart and to really stand strong in my energy and to work with money, to work with large numbers, to yeah, like, I mean, it's a skill that we can use, and we use it day in, day out. We're always selling, whether it's like a cup or like a paintbrush or like a course or like ourselves. Knowing our worth and being able to translate that across to somebody else is really important. So that it's really helped me with boundaries and be able to actually step up and communicate and articulate things properly. And I feel like that was just part of me developing my masculine, and really developing it to a point where I could really look after myself and support myself and give myself what I need. And that's part of becoming sovereign. As a woman, we need that healthy masculine to kind of lean on and know that wherever we are in the world, we're feeling safe. We've got us. We're not waiting for a man to like provide for us, or although it's nice, it's really nice to have that, or a man to like look out for us all the time. And that's kind of what I was looking for before. Because I didn't have that father figure there the way I needed him. I mean, I'm so grateful for how he was there for me and how he has shown up, but it wasn't enough for what I needed to really develop and to be really stable in myself, to feel confident. It wasn't enough for me, and so I really had to learn how to do that for me. And there's many different ways we can do that, but embodiment work is the best way, I think, to do that. Yeah, embodiment work, like energetic work, when it comes to masculine, feminine. Yeah. And my feminine has felt like she can come forward and she can feel more seen, feel more safe, because now instead of rushing ahead, I can sit in presence. And that's the masculine, like holding myself in presence. Whenever something comes up, I sit and I be with myself and I let myself feel and I give myself a space to be heard. And that's something I didn't really feel like I had. And so the shame around expression and, even sensuality or sexuality and being in my body, like, that comes from having a healthy inner union. And, that also having a healthy inner union is going to then translate into attracting a healthy, outer union and having someone come in and knowing, we kind of lead the other person. We teach other people how to treat us. So if we're treating ourselves with this kind of love and respect, and we know the boundaries that we've got and what we want and what we don't want, it's much easier then to navigate a relationship and not get lost and not get, caught up in, when the person doesn't do what we want them to do. We have this like weird behavior, we just then can lean back on ourselves and we can go, actually, no, I can do this myself. Where can I step up for myself in this moment and actually feel like I've got me, and not feel like, okay, now I've got the partner, like I can put it all on them. It's all their responsibility now to make me happy. It doesn't work like that. And I think that's where a lot of women get lost, and a lot of women, I think, also going through the inner work, they do all this inner work and they get to this point of, attracting their partner, and then it's like they forget to do the inner work. They forget to still hold space for themselves and come home to themselves. And that is a continuous journey of your relationship with you. And then again, the codependency can kick in, and then we get passive aggressive, or we get resentful, or we have these weird behaviors, and it's just like, actually, the work still continues. We still need to be there for ourselves and hold ourselves. It doesn't just all disappear now. Like, that's what got you to this place, but that is what got you to this place, and you need to continue doing the inner work and holding yourself and having a relationship with yourself first and foremost. Everything in your world like will unlock when you have a healthy relationship with yourself. Like, we are the key. Like, we have to unlock ourselves and figure out who we are so that we can unlock the world. Like, the pathway opens up when we open up within. Like, that's just how it works. It's just how it works. Like, I don't care what anyone says, that's just how it works. Like, it's an inside job. It literally is an inside job. Like, it's all a reflection of that. So
I
yeah.
totally agree. I'm 100% with you on that. We need to know ourselves even before we can give someone something to someone else, because if we then gonna give anything, whether it's love, whether it's, I don't know, compassion, whether it's support, from a place of, oh, I actually don't feel like I can give, but I'm gonna give because I have a program like this, then it's gonna just build up the subconscious resentment or subconscious anger, and it's just not aligned with anyone really when we give not from a place of like knowing ourselves. So I'm with you. We need to know ourselves on the deepest level to really give and to really be ourselves in the world and be of service to the world to the highest expression of us, because otherwise it brings resistance, because not all our parts are aligned with the decisions or with the actions that we're making. So yeah, but in order to know ourselves, we need to know all the parts, so even the subconscious parts of us, which we'll probably be discovering until the end of our days. But still, the more we can discover about
Yeah.
ourselves, the more we know what's aligned and what's not. And sometimes some discoveries can actually change the whole journey of our life, which is beautiful, I think. And we just need to be open to it and accept how it is. But actually, one question came to my mind when we were talking about sales and how became good at it and by yourself and so on. So this kind of question of the, let's say, knowledge about sales versus authentic expression. I'm really curious what you would say about it, because like there's a lot of like techniques and things or tricks you can do in sales or in marketing or whatever, that you can use to sell to people. And I'm really curious if you use this, let's say, knowledge, like intellectual knowledge of like, okay, this and this and this technique works, or if you just go with your full on authentic expression and you just don't really even look at, okay, how people have done sales in the past. Because I believe that if we come from a true place of service and true place of love and really wanting to contribute and just being authentic, then this is the best sales pitch ever. But I'm also aware that there are some things that it's good to know when you sell, so that you maybe can reach more people and really bring service to more and more people. So what is your approach to that, like this, let's say, technical skills, or like knowing the I don't know, techniques specifically, versus being just full and authentic and going with your divine flow however you express yourself?
Mm. Yeah, so sales has been a very interesting journey for me. There are a lot of things I think in the sales industry that I don't like. I think it feels manipulative. There are a lot of psychological tricks that, we can use and we can play with. And yeah, okay, I've learned some. But really it's through my own experience of what I've experienced, what I've gone through in my life, understanding myself on a deeper level, and then just learning how people work in general, learning the cues in which, I guess, why people fear what they fear, or why they don't want to take action, and you start to see patterns. I think I just spoke to so many people, you just start to see patterns. And so at the beginning, yeah, okay, I was really wanting to stick to the training and to the things that I learned, but then also it was like, it just felt like, I don't know, it's like, yeah, okay, there is a flow. It's good to have a script, a loose script, or like at least a flow, like a structure of like how you're going to be working through something. There's a journey that we can take somebody on that's going to have a good result. It's going to make sense. It's going to make sense, like the order in which we go through things. But I think it really comes from, yes, just being very authentic with ourselves. Because what I notice is, if we don't go deep with ourselves, we can't really take somebody else deep. And to really have someone have an awakening or an aha or a breakthrough on a call when we're, working with sales, and wanting them to make a decision that's going to change their lives, we have to be willing to get down to the root and the core of what's working, what's not working for somebody, and their pain, and just the truth of who they really are. And, it is a case of creating a safe space, a safe sanctuary, a place where people can feel safe to do that. And I mean, I had many people on the phone crying to me, you know, feeling safe enough to cry and open up and shift. Um, and yeah, I think one of the things that is, I think, becoming more relevant in sales and you know, people who are definitely in the spiritual community or more in the, you know, conscious community, if you like, are turning towards this. And it's like this way of doing sales where we don't push people. You know, we can lead people to the water, but we can't make them drink. As they say, the horse, you can lead the horse to the water, but you can't make him drink, right? And it's true. And I would just be very honest. Like, I wasn't trying to play anything with anybody. I just got to a point, I was like, look, like, I will not sell to you if I do not think this is a sustainable decision for you. But if I believe that this is good for you, I'm going to tell you. And if I believe that you're saying no to doing this, and it's coming from a sabotaging, you know, place or a place of fear, I'm going to question you on it and I'm going to kick you off the butt. Like, and I'm going to try and do my best to understand what's making you tick and to, you know, I would say all this out loud. Like, I'm like, I'm very upfront. Like, I'll say it all, I'll lay it all out on the table so people know what I'm doing and people know and understand. Be like, look, like, if I know that you're trying to sabotage yourself and this is actually a good decision for you, yeah, I'm gonna kick you off the butt a little bit, but I'm not going to push you. Ultimately, it's your decision, you know, what you do and how you choose to move forward, right? But if you feel that this is a definite no, and it's coming from a place of you really having self-love and really knowing what's best for you, I trust that, you know. And I think we need to allow, you know, we have to trust what people say on the phone. Like, and this is the thing, like, it's all about being authentic with ourselves. It's really all about that. You know, it's like when we're authentic with ourselves, as we're showing up, you know, we're just going to help people be guided to their own true self as well. It's like, and also a big thing that we can't be attached to the money. We can't be attached to people spending money. Like, it's about service. Service has to come first. The person has to come first, because we're dealing with human beings. You know, we're not just dealing with paycheck. Like, we're dealing with real human beings with real hearts, real thoughts, real emotions, real everything, real decisions, like, you know, real consequences in their life. If they end up investing or deciding to invest 20K on a program, what kind of implications is that going to have on their life and their family, especially if they've got children, you know? So yeah, it's great to be able to, you know, to be a really slick salesperson and be like, yeah, like, come in, and, you know, it's great, like, get the company money, get yourself money, you get paid, and it's great, cool. But like, how is that going to affect them? Is the training actually going to support the person? So for me, like, I chose not to sell, you know, people into things, or sell people into things that I didn't resonate with. And I will never ever try and sell people into anything that is not in a highest alignment for them. Like, that is just my golden number one rule. Like, you can't, it's a disservice to everybody if we try and sell people into something that's not good for them and try and push people. You know, there is a point in where you can push, but then after a certain point there's a breaking point, and it's like you can break rapport with somebody, you know. And some people are just not ready yet, and that's okay. Like, we have to leave them to incubate a little bit longer. Like, you know, it's like we can't force like an egg to hatch. We have to give it the environment and the warmth and the nurturing that it needs, and then eventually that egg will hatch by itself, and it will come. There's like a cycle, you know, we have to take them through, and we have to just trust that process. So yeah, I mean, honesty is key. I don't really like sales tactics. Like, I don't like things where they, especially, you know, there's one thing that really annoys me, I think, in what I've seen. It's like when people say that there's a discount and they're saying it's like the special discount, but then the discount is just the price, and it's like just continuing. It's like, if you're going to have a discount and honor that for that certain time period, and then move it back to the price. Like, just be very integral and, like, you know, honest with every step that you make. There's no shame in selling. There's no shame in asking people to pay you for your services at all. But make sure you offer good stuff. Make sure that you actually have your heart in the right place and you're offering real transformation to people, because there's no point otherwise. There's just no point. Don't try, you know, you have a solid foundation to stand upon. You have real conviction when you come from a true place where you really believe in what you're selling, you know. And especially when you have a sales team, they need to believe in what you're selling or what you're offering. You know, they really need to vibe with you. That's the key. Like, I wouldn't want anybody on my team to be selling something and them not be completely true, and be really, really into what it is that I'm offering and really believe in it. Like, it wouldn't make sense. It would be hollow, like, and soulless. Like, so yeah, soul sales, like, soulful sales is the way forward. Selling because it's actually going to benefit someone, not because you just want to fill your pocket up with money. Because money is just a byproduct of service for people. Money is not the focus, service is the focus, and then money will come. Focus on the vision, on what's true, and then the money will come. Like, always.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
sharing all that. I feel like it really landed for me how you are just like laying it out as it is. Like, okay, so I'm gonna only try to see what's your resistance there and try to help you resolve it if there is something really sabotaging or if there is something really to work through. And I really vibe with this kind of way of like just saying how it is rather than trying to manipulate or whatever. I mean, I think it's good to have some knowledge about sales or marketing if you want to do this, but also just if you are just going with your authentic truth, then the truth will always set us free, right? It always will like direct the energy in a way that it will have the best outcome whether someone agrees to work with us or not. If we're coming from the truth, then there's going to be alignment. So whether someone says yes or no, it's going to be the most aligned decision for them to say yes or no, right? And it's going to be aligned for you and for them. So I totally vibe with this, like just saying authentically how it is, and that you are there to sell and you are there to actually show the benefits, but you're also happy to work through some blocks. And I really really vibe with that. So thank you so much for this advice. I'm gonna certainly use it if I ever have some sales call myself. And so
Yeah.
last little question that I would like
Yeah.
to ask you is, where could people find you if they are really enjoying what they are hearing and they would like to see more of your content and more of you in general?
So, well, I am on Instagram, which is probably is like my main place right now. I'm in the beginning phases of like kind of stepping out. Like, I've always been quite comfortable with being a hermit, so it's like taking me a little bit of time to like, okay, I'm going to come out into the world now and let people see me. But I recently just did I took women through this I hosted an amazing summit for women called Reclaim Your Power. And I spoke and interviewed about 37 different women, I think it was. So that's going to be available. Like, that's over now, but it's going to be available for people to purchase if they want to, for women to purchase. Like, it's just it's an amazing resource, honestly. Like, the wisdom that's come through that, like the breakthroughs that people have had, is incredible. Amazing women. But yeah, Instagram's great to find me. You can just connect with me on there. It's rochelle.church. I might be changing it to Soul Love Empire soon, but for now it's rochelle.church. And yeah, just reach out. I'm going to be creating some amazing offers. I'm going to create I think a container for women to journey through and really come home to themselves and to come home to their truth, and building the relationship with self, because that's really where it all begins and where it ends, really. Like, it's just, yeah, comes from self. So that's a journey that I'm going to be developing. I do some other things other than that. I do many things. I'm always going to do many things. Just a multidimensional being, like all of us, I think. But yeah, no, I will never be doing one thing.
That's beautiful. We need variety in life, so that's absolutely beautiful. And we don't have to put ourselves in the box and do only one thing. I totally resonate with that. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing everything that you shared. It really has opened my mind up, and I'm sure that our listeners are enjoying it too. And so thank you so much. Really, I'm super grateful that you agreed to be on our podcast.
You're welcome. Yeah, we could probably talk for a very long
I
time about all of
know.
this. This is just literally like not even touching the surface. Like, this is just like it's like taking a little bit of a like cream on the top of the cake. Like, it's just like,
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I really, really appreciate you and your time.
You're welcome.